Ladies and gentlemen, there is a sacred power within you, a quiet strength that guides your life, your choices, and your heart. It whispers when something isn't right. It nudges you when someone crosses the line. And yet, too often, we ignore it. We allow others to play with our feelings, to drain our energy, all while we remain silent, hoping for change. But let me tell you something powerful today. Your feelings matter. Your heart is not a playground for others to tread on thoughtlessly. Silent manipulation is one of the most subtle yet harmful forms of emotional harm we can experience. It's not always obvious, nor does it come with loud confrontational moments. Instead, it quietly seeps into your life, eroding your confidence and peace over time. People who engage in silent manipulation often appear kind, supportive, or even loving on the surface, but their actions or lack thereof speak a different truth. They chip away at your self-worth, leaving you questioning your feelings, your intuition, and your boundaries. At its core, silent manipulation operates in the shadows. It's the way someone ignores your needs but expects you to cater to theirs. It's how they use passive-aggressive remarks to make you feel inadequate without ever directly addressing the issue. They might dismiss your emotions, subtly belittle your achievements, or keep you in a constant state of doubt about where you stand with them. This behavior is designed to maintain their control over the relationship while leaving you feeling uncertain, guilty, or even desperate to win their approval. One of the most challenging aspects of silent manipulation is its subtlety. You may not even realize it's happening at first because it often disguises itself as care or concern. For instance, they may phrase criticism as advice, framing it as something that's for your own good. They might withhold affection or attention as a way to punish you, all while acting as though nothing is wrong. This kind of manipulation creates an invisible strain on your emotions, leaving you to carry the weight of the relationship's imbalance without fully understanding why you feel so drained. What makes this form of manipulation particularly damaging is the way it undermines your trust in yourself. Over time, you might start doubting your perceptions, questioning whether you're overreacting or imagining things. Silent manipulators are skilled at deflecting responsibility. If you try to address their behavior, they may deny it, turn the tables on you, or make you feel like the problem lies with you. This gaslighting effect can make you feel trapped, as if no matter what you do, you're always in the wrong. The consequences of enduring silent manipulation are profound. It can lead to feelings of isolation, as you might hesitate to share your struggles with others for fear of not being understood. It can also take a toll on your mental health, leading to anxiety, depression, or a pervasive sense of inadequacy. The longer you stay in such a dynamic, the harder it becomes to recognize your worth and advocate for yourself. You might start shrinking in your relationships, afraid to express your true feelings or needs out of fear of rejection or conflict. Breaking free from silent manipulation begins with awareness. The first step is to pay attention to how someone's behavior makes you feel, even if their actions seem small or insignificant. Do you often feel confused, guilty, or drained after interacting with them? Do you find yourself second-guessing your instincts or avoiding certain topics to prevent conflict? These are red flags that something deeper may be at play. Trusting your intuition is critical in recognizing manipulation. Your intuition is your internal guide, an unshakable sense of what feels right or wrong for you. If something about a relationship doesn't sit well with you, honor that feeling. Even if you can't pinpoint the exact problem, your discomfort is valid and worth exploring. Silent manipulators thrive on your hesitation to trust yourself, so reclaiming that trust is a powerful step toward breaking their hold on you. Once you've identified manipulation, it's essential to set boundaries. Boundaries are not about changing the other person, they're about protecting your emotional well-being. Communicate your feelings clearly and assertively. If they dismiss your concerns or refuse to respect your limits, it may be time to reevaluate their place in your life. Remember, boundaries are a form of self-care, not selfishness. Cutting ties with a manipulative person can be difficult, especially if you've invested significant time and energy into the relationship. You may feel guilt or fear about letting go, but it's important to prioritize your well-being. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift you and remind you of your worth. Seek professional help if needed to process the emotional toll of manipulation and rebuild your confidence. Recognizing silent manipulation is not just about identifying the harm others do to you, it's also about reclaiming your power. It's about stepping into a space where you honor your feelings, trust your instincts, and refuse to settle for anything less than respect and authenticity. By doing so, you create a life filled with relationships that nurture and celebrate you, rather than ones that drain and diminish you. Remember, you have the right to protect your peace and prioritize your happiness. Trusting your intuition is one of the most profound and empowering acts you can do for yourself. Intuition is that quiet inner knowing that guides you toward what feels right and warns you against what feels wrong. It's not loud or demanding like the noise of overthinking. Instead, it whispers truths that resonate deeply within you. Yet, in a world full of distractions, external opinions, and societal pressures, many people ignore or suppress their intuition, often to their detriment. Intuition is a natural gift, a compass that helps us navigate the complexities of life. It's not just a random feeling, it's the culmination of your experiences, observations, and subconscious processing. Your intuition often knows the answer before your logical mind can articulate it. It's the sense you get when you meet someone and immediately feel at ease or uneasy. It's the subtle nudge that tells you to take a different route home or to pause before making a decision. When you trust your intuition, you are aligning yourself with a deeper wisdom that has your best interests at heart. One of the biggest challenges to trusting intuition is self-doubt. Society teaches us to prioritize logic and tangible evidence over feelings. We're often told to be rational or think things through, as if intuition lacks value simply because it isn't always easy to explain. This conditioning can make us second-guess ourselves, even when our gut feeling is screaming for our attention. The result: we might find ourselves stuck in situations that feel wrong, or surrounded by people who don't have our best interests at heart because we ignored the inner signals that warned us early on. Learning to trust your intuition begins with acknowledging its presence. Pay attention to those moments when something doesn't feel quite right, even if you can't immediately pinpoint why. Intuition often communicates through subtle physical and emotional cues. You might feel a tightening in your chest, a flutter in your stomach, or an unexplained sense of discomfort. These sensations are your body's way of alerting you to what your conscious mind has yet to process. Similarly, when something aligns with your intuition, you may feel calm, energized, or at peace. Developing a relationship with your intuition requires practice and patience. Start by creating space for stillness in your life. In the busyness of modern living, it's easy for the quiet voice of intuition to be drowned out by the noise of daily demands and overthinking. Spend time in reflection, meditation, or solitude. These practices allow you to tune into your inner world and cultivate the awareness needed to hear your intuition clearly. Another powerful way to strengthen your intuition is by reflecting on past experiences. Think about times when you ignored your gut feeling and later regretted it. Perhaps you took a job that looked perfect on paper but felt wrong from the start, only to realize it wasn't a good fit. Or maybe you trusted someone despite a nagging sense of unease and later discovered they didn't have your best interests at heart. These experiences aren't failures, they're lessons that remind you of the importance of listening to your inner guidance. It's also important to recognize that intuition doesn't always provide clear answers. Sometimes it simply nudges you toward a direction or away from a certain path. This can feel frustrating for those who are used to relying on logic and concrete facts. However, intuition is not about having all the answers, it's about trusting the process. It's about taking that first step, even when you don't know exactly where the journey will lead, because something within you knows it's the right move. One of the most beautiful aspects of intuition is how it can protect and guide you. When you trust your intuition, you're less likely to be swayed by others' opinions or caught in situations that don't serve you. You develop a stronger sense of self, grounded in what feels authentic and true to you. This self-trust allows you to navigate relationships, decisions, and challenges with confidence and clarity. It becomes easier to set boundaries, walk away from harmful dynamics, and pursue opportunities that align with your values and goals. Of course, trusting your intuition doesn't mean abandoning logic altogether. It's about creating a balance where intuition and reasoning work hand in hand. Your intuition often gives you the initial insight, while logic helps you evaluate and act on it. For example, if your intuition tells you something feels off in a relationship, logic can help you observe patterns, gather evidence, and make informed decisions about how to proceed. Trusting your intuition is ultimately an act of self-love. It's about believing in your ability to sense what's best for you, even when others might disagree or when the path ahead feels uncertain. It's about honoring your feelings and experiences, knowing that they are valid and meaningful. The more you trust your intuition, the more empowered you become to live a life that reflects your deepest truths and desires. In the end, your intuition is always there for you, waiting to be heard. It's not something you need to earn or learn, it's already within you. By quieting the noise, letting go of self-doubt, and embracing your inner guidance, you can cultivate a life filled with authenticity, alignment, and joy. Trust your intuition, it will never lead you astray. Cutting ties with someone, whether it's a friend, a partner, or even a family member, can feel like an agonizing decision. The world often conditions us to believe that walking away from relationships is a sign of failure, selfishness, or even cruelty. However, this perspective overlooks an essential truth. Choosing to let go of toxic or unbalanced connections is not an act of harm, it is an act of self-respect. It's about honoring your own emotional and mental well-being and creating space for the relationships that truly uplift and nurture you. When a relationship becomes one-sided, manipulative, or draining, it begins to take a toll on your sense of self. You may find yourself questioning your worth, bending over backward to meet someone else's expectations, or constantly feeling as though you're not enough. This emotional strain often leads to a gradual erosion of confidence and happiness. Continuing to invest in such a relationship only deepens the wounds, making it harder to reclaim your peace. Cutting ties in such situations is not an act of abandonment, it's a courageous step toward reclaiming your power and prioritizing your health. One of the biggest hurdles to cutting ties is the guilt that often accompanies the decision. Many of us are raised to believe that loyalty is paramount, even when it comes at our own expense. We might feel obligated to maintain relationships simply because of shared history or familial ties. This guilt can keep us tethered to situations that no longer serve us, making it difficult to recognize that staying in a harmful dynamic is often more damaging than leaving. It's important to remember that self-respect isn't about putting yourself above others, it's about refusing to put yourself beneath anyone. Another common fear is the perception of cruelty. Walking away from someone who has been part of your life can feel harsh. especially if they don't see their behavior as harmful. You may worry about being judged by others or causing pain to the person you're leaving behind. However, it's crucial to understand that taking care of yourself is not unkind, it's necessary. By staying in a toxic relationship, you're not helping the other person grow or change, you're simply enabling a dynamic that diminishes both of you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for both yourself and the other person is to step away and allow space for healing. Cutting ties is also a way of setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. When you choose to leave a relationship that disrespects or devalues you, you send a powerful message to yourself and others: your peace, happiness, and dignity matter. This act of self-respect creates a ripple effect, empowering you to cultivate relationships that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and care. It also inspires others to reevaluate their own dynamics and prioritize their well-being. Of course, walking away is rarely easy. It requires strength, clarity, and often a period of grieving. Letting go of someone who has been significant in your life can feel like losing a part of yourself. You may miss the good moments you shared and struggle with the void they leave behind. This is a natural part of the process, and it's important to allow yourself the time and space to heal. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment and remind yourself of why you made the decision in the first place. Holding on to the reasons for your choice can help you stay grounded during moments of doubt. It's also helpful to focus on what you're gaining by cutting ties. Removing toxic influences from your life opens up space for growth, self-discovery, and healthier connections. You might find that you have more energy to pursue your passions, more time to nurture relationships that bring you joy, and a greater sense of clarity about what you want in life. The act of letting go is not just about ending something, it's about creating room for new beginnings. While cutting ties is an individual journey, it doesn't have to be a lonely one. Seek support from trusted friends, family, or professionals who can help you navigate the emotional challenges. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and understand you can make the process less daunting and more empowering. They can remind you of your worth when you're feeling uncertain and celebrate your courage in choosing self-respect. Ultimately, cutting ties with someone is not about punishing them or proving a point, it's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of relationships that nourish your soul and reflect the love and respect you give to others. Walking away is not an act of cruelty, it's a declaration that you value your peace, happiness, and emotional health. By honoring your needs and boundaries, you not only transform your life, but also pave the way for deeper, more meaningful connections in the future. Guilt is a complex emotion that has the power to weigh heavily on your heart and mind. It often arises from a sense that you've done something wrong, hurt someone, or failed to meet expectations, whether those expectations are your own or imposed by others. While guilt can serve a purpose by prompting self-reflection and encouraging you to make amends when necessary, it becomes harmful when it lingers, grows, and distorts your perception of yourself. Learning to acknowledge and release guilt is not just about finding relief, it's about reclaiming your emotional freedom and restoring balance in your life. The first step in releasing guilt is to recognize and accept it for what it is. Guilt often shows up as a nagging feeling, a replay of events in your mind, or a critical voice that refuses to let you move on. Instead of trying to suppress or deny it, give yourself permission to feel it fully. Sit with the discomfort and allow it to come to the surface. Avoid judging yourself for feeling guilty. Emotions are natural, and guilt is simply your mind's way of processing a situation. By acknowledging its presence, you begin to take control of it rather than letting it control you. It's important to understand that guilt is often rooted in your values and sense of responsibility. Feeling guilty doesn't make you a bad person. It reflects your desire to act with integrity and care. However, guilt can sometimes be misplaced or disproportionate. For example, you may feel guilty for setting boundaries, saying no, or prioritizing your own needs, even though those actions are necessary for your well-being. In such cases, the guilt stems from societal conditioning or unrealistic expectations rather than actual wrongdoing. Recognizing this can help you distinguish between guilt that requires action and guilt that needs to be released. When guilt arises from a mistake or harm caused to someone else, it's important to take responsibility in a constructive way. Reflect on the situation honestly and ask yourself what you can do to make amends. This might involve offering a sincere apology, making reparations, or committing to change your behavior in the future. Taking these steps not only helps repair the relationship, but also allows you to forgive yourself. Remember, making amends is about growth, not perfection. No one is free from mistakes, and every error is an opportunity to learn and become better. Another essential part of releasing guilt is practicing self-compassion. Guilt can be harsh and unrelenting, causing you to focus solely on your shortcomings and overlook your strengths and good intentions. Counter this by treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a loved one. Remind yourself that you are human, and like all humans, you are a work in progress. Mistakes don't define you. How you respond to them does. Cultivating self-compassion helps you shift from self-criticism to self-acceptance, making it easier to let go of the guilt that no longer serves you. For some, guilt can become a habit, a default response to situations where they feel they've fallen short. This habitual guilt is often linked to deep-seated beliefs or patterns formed in childhood. Perhaps you were taught to prioritize others' needs over your own, or were made to feel responsible for things beyond your control. If this resonates with you, it's important to challenge those beliefs and remind yourself that you are not obligated to carry guilt that isn't yours to bear. Releasing habitual guilt requires patience and consistent effort, but it is a crucial step toward emotional freedom. Letting go of guilt also involves shifting your focus from the past to the present. Guilt thrives on dwelling in what has already happened, but you cannot change the past. What you can do is take what you've learned and use it to make better choices moving forward. Focus on what you can control now: your actions, your mindset, and your commitment to personal growth. Redirecting your energy toward positive change not only eases guilt, but also empowers you to create a more fulfilling and aligned life. Lastly, embrace the idea of forgiveness, not just toward others, but toward yourself. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean condoning harmful actions or dismissing their impact. It means acknowledging your humanity, accepting responsibility where appropriate, and choosing to move forward without the weight of self-punishment. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, a way of releasing the chains that guilt can create. It allows you to step into a space of peace, clarity, and renewed purpose. Releasing guilt is not an overnight process. It takes time, introspection, and a commitment to healing. Be patient with yourself as you work through it, and celebrate small victories along the way. Each step you take toward letting go of guilt is a step toward greater self-awareness, freedom, and emotional resilience. By acknowledging guilt and consciously releasing it, you open the door to a lighter, more empowered way of living, one where you honor your mistakes, learn from them, and move forward with grace and self-respect. Setting healthy boundaries is one of the most essential acts of self-care you can practice. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define what you will and will not tolerate in your relationships, work, and personal life. They are an expression of your needs, values, and limits, and they serve as a guide for how others should treat you. Yet, setting boundaries is not always easy. It requires clarity, confidence, and the ability to communicate assertively, all while navigating the fear of conflict or rejection. However, establishing and maintaining boundaries is crucial for your emotional well-being, personal growth, and the quality of your relationships. Healthy boundaries begin with self-awareness. To set boundaries, you must first understand your own needs and limits. This involves tuning into your emotions and recognizing when something feels wrong or overwhelming. Perhaps you feel drained after spending time with a particular person or resentful because someone constantly takes advantage of your kindness. These feelings are signals that a boundary is being crossed. Pay attention to them without judgment and reflect on what changes are necessary to protect your energy and peace of mind. Self-awareness empowers you to articulate your boundaries clearly and confidently. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is overcoming the fear of saying no. Many people struggle with boundaries because they worry about disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. They may agree to things they don't want to do or tolerate behavior that makes them uncomfortable, all in an effort to avoid conflict. While this may keep the peace temporarily, it often leads to resentment and burnout in the long run. Saying no is not an act of rejection, it is an act of honesty. It allows you to honor your own needs and communicate them to others. Remember, you have the right to say no without feeling guilty or obligated to explain yourself. Communicating boundaries effectively is also crucial. A boundary is only as strong as your ability to express it. This means being clear, direct, and respectful when discussing your limits with others. For example, if a colleague frequently interrupts your personal time, you might say, "I value our teamwork, but I need to disconnect after work hours to recharge. Please save non-urgent matters for the next workday." This approach is assertive yet considerate, making it clear that your boundary is about preserving your well-being, not rejecting the other person. Practicing this kind of communication takes courage, but it strengthens relationships by fostering mutual respect and understanding. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from negative influences, they are also about creating space for positive growth. When you set boundaries, you establish a foundation for healthy relationships built on respect, trust, and reciprocity. People who value you will appreciate your honesty and will likely respect your limits. Those who don't may react negatively, but their reactions reveal their unwillingness to honor your needs. While it can be painful to face resistance, it's a reminder that boundaries are also a way of filtering out relationships that no longer serve you. Setting boundaries is not a one-time event, it is an ongoing process. As your life circumstances, priorities, and relationships evolve, so too will your boundaries. What worked for you a year ago may no longer be relevant today. Regularly check in with yourself to evaluate whether your current boundaries align with your needs and goals. Adjust them as necessary and communicate any changes to the people in your life. Flexibility in boundaries allows you to grow and adapt without compromising your core values. One of the challenges of maintaining boundaries is dealing with pushback. Some people may test your boundaries either intentionally or unknowingly. They might try to guilt you into changing your mind or accuse you of being unreasonable. It's important to stand firm in these situations and remember why you set the boundary in the first place. Repeat your boundary calmly and consistently, and avoid engaging in arguments or justifications. Consistency reinforces the message that your boundaries are non-negotiable, helping others understand and respect them over time. Setting healthy boundaries also requires self-compassion. You may feel uncertain or uncomfortable when first establishing your limits, especially if you're not used to prioritizing your needs. You might make mistakes, set boundaries that are too rigid, or struggle to enforce them. That's okay. Boundaries are a skill that improves with practice, and every step you take is progress. Be gentle with yourself and recognize that learning to set boundaries is a journey, not a destination. Celebrate your efforts and remind yourself of the benefits: increased self-respect, improved relationships, and greater emotional balance. Ultimately, boundaries are an act of love both for yourself and for others. They help you protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being, enabling you to show up as your best self. They also create clarity in your relationships, reducing misunderstandings and fostering deeper connections. By setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, you take control of your life and create an environment where you can thrive. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to a more authentic and fulfilling existence. With practice, they become an integral part of your self-care toolkit, empowering you to live with confidence, integrity, and peace. Creating space for healing and growth is a deeply personal and transformative process. It requires a willingness to step back, reflect, and prioritize your emotional and mental well-being. Life's challenges, whether they stem from past traumas, disappointments, or setbacks, often leave emotional scars that need time and care to heal. Growth, on the other hand, comes from using those experiences as a foundation for becoming stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self. By intentionally making room in your life for both healing and growth, you give yourself the opportunity to rise above pain and move toward a more fulfilling existence. The first step in creating this space is acknowledging the need for it. Many people are so focused on their daily routines and responsibilities that they neglect their inner world. Pain and unresolved emotions can remain buried under a facade of busyness, preventing true healing. It takes courage to pause, look inward, and admit that you need time to process what you've been through. This is not a sign of weakness, it is a powerful act of self-awareness and self-compassion. When you acknowledge your need for healing, you set the intention to prioritize your emotional health, which is the foundation for growth. One of the most effective ways to create space for healing is to set boundaries. This may involve saying no to commitments that drain your energy, limiting interactions with people who trigger negative emotions, or carving out time for solitude. Boundaries are not about isolating yourself, they are about protecting your energy and giving yourself the freedom to focus on your well-being. When you create physical and emotional space in your life, you allow yourself to breathe, reflect, and process your feelings without distraction or pressure. Healing also requires creating a safe and nurturing environment. This might mean surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or simply finding a quiet place where you can be alone with your thoughts. Your environment plays a significant role in your ability to heal. A cluttered, chaotic, or toxic space can hinder your progress, while a calm, organized, and loving space can help you feel grounded and secure. Take the time to create an environment that encourages self-reflection and nurtures your spirit. Growth begins when you start to examine the lessons hidden within your experiences. Every challenge you face has the potential to teach you something valuable about yourself, your relationships, or the world around you. Reflection is a key part of this process. Journaling, meditating, or simply spending time in thought can help you uncover these lessons. Ask yourself what you've learned, how you've changed, and what you want to take forward with you. Growth is not about forgetting or dismissing the pain. It's about finding meaning in it and using that meaning to propel you forward. Forgiveness is another essential element of creating space for healing and growth. Forgiving others for their wrongs and forgiving yourself for your mistakes can free you from the weight of anger, resentment, and regret. Holding on to these emotions only creates more suffering, while forgiveness opens the door to peace and renewal. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful actions or forgetting what happened. It means choosing to let go of the emotional grip those experiences have on you. When you release the past, you make room for new possibilities. As you create space for healing and growth, it's important to practice self-care. This goes beyond pampering yourself with occasional treats. It's about consistently nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Eat well, rest enough, move your body, and engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Self-care is not selfish, it is a necessity for healing and a foundation for growth. When you take care of yourself, you build the resilience and strength needed to move through life's challenges and embrace new opportunities. Patience is essential in this journey. Healing and growth are not linear processes, and they cannot be rushed. There will be days when you feel progress and others when the weight of your emotions feels overwhelming. Be gentle with yourself and allow the process to unfold naturally. Celebrate small victories, no matter how insignificant they may seem, and remind yourself that each step, no matter how small, is a step toward a better version of yourself. Finally, embrace the idea that healing and growth are ongoing processes. They are not destinations, but journeys that continue throughout your life. Each experience, whether joyful or painful, contributes to your evolution. By remaining open to learning and committed to your well-being, you create a life that is not only resilient, but also deeply fulfilling. The space you create for healing and growth becomes a sanctuary, a place where you can find clarity, strength, and inspiration to move forward with confidence and purpose.